All right, I call to order the meeting of the Manassas Park Governing Body for April 1st, 2025. First up is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Please join us for a moment of silence, and Councilmember Javed, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, for public comment, we have one person signed up, Mr. Mike Smith. If you'd please come to the microphone, state your name, address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Ms. Connor will keep the time.
I'll fix the microphone here first, get up to my height. Kudos to the city's IT staff. As somebody who works in IT, I don't think most of you all here have any idea how stressful it can be under the gun like that and have to get up and make those repairs in order for the meeting to occur on time. So great job back there, guys. So I wanted to bring up the topic that was discussed in the previous meeting on the driveway discussion again. I wasn't able to attend last week, but I just wanted to stop by tonight and add some comments for the record, since this is a topic we've been involved with basically since we moved here, and I've had a lot of time to think about it. But let's get over to our new city manager. This has been a complex issue which primarily affects residents on the west side. And our residents who spend thousands of dollars on driveways, and the city has spent much more time in terms of staff hours, lawyers, and all y'all's time. And it's frustrating as a resident, because it seems like the solution is really hard to find that will please everyone.
So first I wanted to note, I think it's important to note that the existing 20-foot limitation that was mentioned at the previous meeting stems from a single sentence of City Code Section 3130, which by the city's own records hasn't been updated in over 20 years, and is arguably in conflict with newer sections of the City Code, in particular 3127, which deals with off-street parking requirements. So I think we can all agree that any site improvements should have a site plan and a grading plan. I think we can also agree that people shouldn't be paving over 100% of their backyard. I've talked to the residents who lived next to this, and it's exactly what you'd expect. All the water runoff comes right into their yards. But I think we need to look at some of the challenges, and I've spent a long time doing this. So 20 feet would make sense if everyone's yard was the same size. But on the west side, the lots and streets were laid out 70 years ago. We've got lots that are 40 feet wide by 80 feet deep. We've got lots that are 80 feet wide by 40 feet deep. There's no uniformity like you'd see in more modern developments. Some of the lots have sidewalks or fire hydrants, or utility poles in their front yards, because we don't have, our utilities aren't underground, and so there's poles everywhere. Many lots have steep hills or other obstacles that make it difficult to add off-street parking. We should also consider homes with multi-generational families or that have work vehicles, both of which are common on the west side. I know some houses that have as many as 24 cars registered to them. 24 cars at one house. I don't know how they pay the property taxes on that, but parking is one of those things that is unfortunately a zero-sum game. If a few people take up all of the parking, that leaves none for anyone else. Which I think that's the point. Shouldn't people be able to have sufficient off-street parking to meet the needs of their family? Shouldn't we be able to park our cars safely? I can't turn around and not trip over another hit and run or a car that's been sideswiped along Manassas Drive because our roads are too narrow and they were not designed for 14,000 cars a day to travel down them. So that's why I would propose that the city encourage residents. 2 minutes?
3 minutes.
3 minutes? Okay. I'll email the rest. It's not
Yeah,
important.
could you email your comments to us so we
I will.
can
Thank you.
put them in their entirety? Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Well, Madam Mayor, if he's the only speaker, I'll let him finish, if he's the only speaker.
Yeah, I would agree.
Are we okay with that? Okay.
I was getting to the good part.
I know, he was right at the part with his recommendation.
I wasted the time talking about the IT stuff, but I should have just gone right to my message.
Go ahead, finish, Mr. Booth.
Go ahead, finish up.
Okay. I propose that the city encourage residents to put in proper off-street parking. Rather than restrict it, encourage it. That doesn't mean dumping gravel everywhere, but do it right. Because off-street parking can increase the value of our homes, and shouldn't we all want to do that? I would propose the city pick a number, say 50% of the total lot size, and say that is the amount that you can have developed. The city already knows how many square feet every lot is. We're taxed on it every year. So we'd only need to ask one number on any new site plan or development. What is the amount of square footage for buildings and parking? From there, it's simple math. At 50%, a lot of 8,000 square feet could be 4,000 square feet, for example. Side benefit of this would be that it would stop the overdevelopment of lots. This is another issue we're seeing a lot on the west side, is that we've got people building 5,000 square foot homes on lots designed for a 1950s era single-family home. Our infrastructure wasn't designed to handle these massive buildings. Up the street, we have a house with 13 bedrooms. And I don't want to be someone who tells other people what they can or can't do with their property, but there has to be a reasonable balance within the single-family residential district. And I know finding that balance is going to be hard. I've had a lot of time to think about this, and I think picking a percentage of the total lot size would be the most fair. Good luck to all of you with the decisions that you have to do.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone who is not signed up for public comment but who would still like to make public comment? Nope. All right, seeing no one, we will move on to recognitions. Tonight we have certificates of appreciation to recognize Public Works, Parks and Recreation, and General Services for their excellent work during this past snow-filled winters. On nights when most of us are staying bundled up indoors and watching the snow pile up, these dedicated people are heading out into the storm to make sure the streets and facilities are able to service us. I think this past season was particularly snow-filled because our city manager brought the snow with him from the Northwest. And we appreciate all of the work that you have done. I will list the names. The certificates are on the podium. Calvin, if you would come up first and hand out the certificates to those who are here. Should be ready. All right, if you hear your name, come on up. Kenny Woodson, Wayne Martin. They should be in order.
So Wayne is your Public Works Superintendent, been with the city for
25 years.
25 years.
Remind me.
But yeah, Wayne became superintendent a couple years ago after Chris Simmons left after a long career, and he's doing a bang-up job, and I think you guys can see that the ability to clear the city streets in a snow event did not escape him in all of his years of service. He learned how to run the crews and how to get the job done, and all we can do is say thank you, Wayne, for making sure we're all safe and staying on top of everything.
Donald Jenkins. Oh, sorry. Okay. We'll probably do a group picture at the end, so don't go too far. Don't get cozy.
So, Donald Jenkins, we know him as Bud with 2 Ds. This is our site and storm supervisor. He leads the site and stormwater crew. Many years ago, when I first took over Public Works, I needed a site and stormwater division, and Wayne and Bud, to me, were the logical candidates, the guys that were ready to take on a new challenge. Wayne moved up to superintendent, and Bud is the supervisor, but when Wayne's not around, he's usually the default superintendent, and we're happy to have Bud and all his skill set with us. Thank you, sir. That's you.
Okay.
All right, Colby Neal, Zemry Dennis, Robert Clark, Chris Hare, Jeff Garvey.
Jeff Garvey came on to the city as a crewman 1 water and sewer. His desire to work and his ability to figure things out have quickly advanced him till he is your leak detection specialist for the city. So we have him to thank for all of staying on top of our water loss. He also spends a lot of time dealing with water billing and answering questions about meter reads and things like that. I hope Jeff stays with us a long time. He's a very valuable asset to our group, and we can thank him. He is a water guy, but we all do snow, so.
David Clark, John Samuel, Jordan Cornwell, Zach Ryman, Gavin Kiefer, Mark Rowland, Jeff Wright, Bailey Barrett, Justin Powers, Jamie Urban.
Jamie of the crew here is like the only one that's supposed to be here. He's streets. So Jamie's been with the city a few years. He loves to work. He's always willing to take overtime. You don't get a choice with snow events, but Jamie's one of our hardest workers. He's dedicated to the job, and we're very thankful to have him on board.
Thomas Young,
So Tommy is your chief mechanic. He started with the city originally about the same time that I moved down to Public Works. Tommy runs the shop. He's responsible for all the inventory and all the work order system and everything. He is your head of your fleet division. But when we have snow events, people don't think of the mechanics in the shop as being important, but Tommy is pretty much here 24 hours a day until the snow is done, because when our equipment goes out of order, we have to get it quickly back on the streets, or we can't meet the expectations of the people. So whether it's a vehicle breaking down or a spreader breaking down or a plow needing work, Tommy's on top of it. He's just waiting in the shop for the guys to bring him broken stuff, and he gets it back on the road as quickly as possible, and we wouldn't know what to do without him.
and Timothy Williams. All right. Thank you, Calvin. Jay is up next. And Parks and Rec. Thanks. We have AJ Tibbs.
All right, so AJ has been with the city 21 years. He started out with Parks, part-time, and then went full-time. Then we went to Public Works full-time for about 5-6 years. And then he's been with us for over the last decade, back in Parks. I've had the pleasure of working with AJ for about the last 13 years. Unparalleled work ethic, tremendous experience, just great attitude, willing to just go above and beyond, and a great leader for the room, for our division. We have a small division. I think tonight there's 4 part-time staff members listed here. AJ and Michael. Michael's our other full-time park manager. AJ's our park manager, our senior park manager. He's been with us the longest. And he really sets the tone for our guys. And it's evident in kind of their mentality and their mindset when they come to work every day, just working with him. So it's been a pleasure working with him.
Michael Mullins. Carl Jenkins.
All right, so Carl has been with us about 4 years now. He's a weekend park supervisor, part-time. He's our lead on the weekends. We lean on him heavy to make sure the plaza is taken care of with trash. All the parks, rentals are set up correctly. Any sports leagues, the fields are ready to roll. So he's dynamite, one of the most dependable, reliable individuals I've ever been around. And again, much like AJ, just incredible work ethic, great attitude. So pleasure working with Carl as well.
Jamie Valadares. Sorry, my glasses are at home. Malachi Tibbs and Tony Trevino. All right, thank you. Does everyone want to come up for a picture? Calvin and Jay too, sorry. Do we want to stand up?
Yes.
Stand up.
You want to stand next to me?
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Next up, we have a presentation from Mr. Will Triplett and Mr. James Custodio from the Virginia Department of Veterans Services. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Step up, make sure it goes flawlessly.
No worries.
All right.
You got it. Okay. Well, good evening, Madam Mayor and esteemed members of the governing body. I really appreciate y'all having us here this evening. I know taking time out to hear about what we do and to let you know where we are and just a little bit about what we're all about. Just for a matter of background, I am a 30-year Navy veteran. Served full career, most of my, so I was on a surface warfare officer and I was on surface ships, and my shore assignments were actually at the five-sided Puzzle Palace. And so I spent a lot of time here in Virginia, commuting from Fredericksburg up there, long before the hot lanes were extended. So that was very good tours for us. But it was a great career and really enjoyed it, but I was looking for something to do and to kind of get back. And so what I decided to do was look for a way to do that, and the Commonwealth gave me that opportunity to be the regional director here. So, and I'll tell you a little bit about us, but I'll go ahead and introduce my partner in crime here, Mr. James Custodio, a little bit about himself.
Oh, thank you. I'm James Custodio. I'm the regional coordinator for the North Region of Virginia Veteran and Family Support. So Will's team and my team work pretty well hand in hand. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, joined the Marine Corps right out of high school, deployed to Iraq as part of Operation Iraqi Freedom with mortuary affairs. And after that, went to school, got a degree in psychology, and joined up with, at the time, what was called the Virginia Wounded Warrior Program. And I've been with the state for about 11 years since then.
Well, a little bit about us. What do we do? What are we about? We help we connect the veterans to what they've earned through their service. Common phrase is, if you served, you deserve. So I want to make sure that everybody understands that this is not something that's given, it's earned through service and sacrifice. And we provide information on both federal, state, local veterans programs, and we do that. And we are located in 38 offices, benefit service offices across the state. So we really want to go where the veteran is, and that's really a charge from the commissioner to make sure that we're out there telling veterans where we are, what we can do, and come see us about that. The key big thing is the third bullet. We are a state agency. Our salaries are paid by the Commonwealth, and everything we do is that best cost of all, free. So this is our mission, and we want to help the veterans and their family members. And I've seen a lot of family members since I've taken the job since November. So we've had family members come in and look at the education services. On the bad side of some things, we help widows with helping getting them access to the things that do the service of their spouse that they've earned. So we've helped them with that as well. So we want to make sure that they're getting everything through the service and sacrifice to the Commonwealth and the nation. So these are our 9 service lines. I represent benefits, which everybody knows about, and kind of they say, okay, how can I get to the golden area of whatever I can get for what's happened in my service? But I have other lines of service as well. A couple things we'll talk about are the veteran care centers. We have 3 of them. The Puller Center, which is opening up here in Warrenton. That's our newest one. It's going to be opening up in about a year or so, but we already have a waiting list. But there are 2 others throughout the state that help with that. And so you kind of see really kind of through the service lines from the beginning. When you leave the service, you get your benefits to, I talk about it because it's a fact of life, because no one gets out of here alive, the cemeteries. So there are several cemeteries that we operate, 3 in the state, that are for veterans. These are separate from the federal cemeteries that we have, one in Arlington and the one in Quantico. Those are federal cemeteries, but we have state veteran cemeteries, and the one that's filling up fast is the one down in Suffolk. That one, a lot of people, that one, when it opened, it's now one of our more popular cemeteries. So we kind of wanted to talk about that one. And I'm going to let James, my anchor here for a minute, let James kind of come to the mic to talk about what they do for the Virginia Veteran and Family Support.
Absolutely. And we try to fill the niche of veterans and family members after they get out of the military. They may have unmet mental health needs. They might have housing issues, whether that's actual literal homelessness or struggling to pay rent, mortgage, utilities, other bills like that. I know that a common need in Manassas is transportation as well. So what we try to do is we connect with them. We develop a full service plan based on a needs assessment after we meet with them to try to determine what they need. And then we start connecting them with targeted resources. Those can be federal, state, nonprofit, local, county, and city resources. And do that follow-up with them as well to make sure that they're not getting overwhelmed, that the services are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And sometimes it just helps to have somebody who may have a point of contact within a certain organization that can kind of help facilitate that connection. So that's kind of the bread and butter what we do. We serve veterans, family members, members of the National Guard and Reserve who are drilling as well. So yeah, that's what we do.
All right. So again, the benefits side of the house, we take care of the dependents and survivors, and we develop, file, and prosecute the claims for the benefits in accordance with how the VA sets their rules and regulations. All the veteran service representatives that work for the DVS are certified by the VA. We go through an intense certification process to make sure that we understand all the complexities so that when we file the claim, it's a good, solid claim, and that when they look at it, they adjudicate it. Now, you'll say, what else is there? We also come with what we call a Center of Excellence. The Center of Excellence is located in Roanoke, and that is staffed by claims specialists. So after my VSRs do their claims and they submit it, it goes to the Center of Excellence in Roanoke for a claims specialist who has seen thousands of claims, and is co-located with the VA in the area in Roanoke. So they look at that, and then once they finally get the okay, do the eyes, everything is signed correctly, looked at it, and go back to the VSR asking other questions, then we submit it to the VA. And you've probably heard, it's like, okay, my claim didn't come through, so what else do you have? I said, I actually have appeals attorneys that work for the state. So if it comes back and we have to go before a board or anything like that, because you've given us the power of attorney, the DVS, the power of attorney, we will represent you and go with you to that board so you can plead your case in front of the VA. So we come with a lot of resources that a lot of people didn't even know that we had. So look at what we do for our veterans, and this is not a laundry list, it's non-exhaustive, but I won't go through everything. I'll just highlight a couple things that you all can see out here. Is one, we help you with the VA home loan. We get you that so we can get you everything certified. We go and get your request for your burial benefits, working with that one. And also the one that says the dependent indemnity compensation. What is that? Well, that's a very important thing. So if you have a veteran who passes due to a service-connected disability, the surviving spouse and/or children, depending on their age, can get a tax-free benefit monthly. That's huge. And we do have, and it depends. And obviously, we have to ask if spouses remarried or anything like that. But sometimes they come in there and just start asking questions about it, and we help a lot of the widows and former spouses with that assistance as well. And I know everybody is aware of the 90% and 100% permanent and permanent total disability, that if your children want to go to a state school, that is tuition free. And so we help with that as well. And again, this is part of what I'm doing is outreach to the local communities, making sure that, and we also go to these different areas. I have VSRs that go to, like, say, Culpeper, Warrenton, just because we just can't put an office everywhere, but we go to them to make sure that. We go to churches, we go to VFWs, and that's part of what we do here.
And part of the other thing that our team offers in addition to the resource connection, we also work with special populations. So One of the members of our team is Spanish speaking, and so he can work with individuals who may not have English as their first language and would otherwise struggle to connect with services. We also have veteran justice outreach specialists who are on the veteran treatment dockets and work with veterans who are incarcerated or on probation or parole to help with navigating those unique circumstances. And I know the Kevin McNillis, the veteran justice outreach specialist over in Manassas, I know he also drops into roll calls with police departments, and it participates in the crisis intervention trainings offered over the Western District Police Station as well. So we try to stay involved as well with the law enforcement community and kind of work hand in hand with helping them with their clients. And then we also have veteran peer specialists. So when a veteran is struggling with mental health needs or substance abuse, and sometimes even suicidal ideation, and sometimes there's not even really a hope that they'll be able to, in connecting with services at all. There's a lot of isolation. And so what we try to do is to have veterans who have worked through some of their own issues, try to connect with them on that veteran to veteran level and just try to draw them out of their shell to get them into a point where maybe they're willing to seek services, whether that be counseling, treatment, or general support for their families, things like that.
So that's one of the reasons that our two service lines are really co-located, because we will see the veteran for benefits because that's what everybody knows. But what we're also doing is doing a suicide risk assessment. And if, depending on the severity, we will pass them over and recommend the VVFS service reps help with them. So we're always doing that, and we're always on the lookout for that. So that, again, symbiotic and good, solid relationship there. So with the compensation, it's really designed to compensate the veteran for their service and the things that they incurred in service to the nation. Kind of with the eligibility here, and then what you want to say is everything has to be service connected. So what does that mean? Meaning that my service to the nation, I hurt my back because I jumped out of airplanes, and so I want to make sure that that is fairly compensated to you, because you may not be able to get the Amazon delivery job. You can probably do a more sedentary job, but you did that in the service to the nation, so you kind of do that one. But it has to be service connected. And what does that mean? So some of the things are presumptives, and what I mean by a presumptive is, I think everybody's familiar with the PACT Act, so when over the burn pits in Iraq. So some things are, you're going to get the nod for that. So you come out with, say, prostate cancer, as a male. And that you were in Iraq, or serving in that just general area, we're going to say, yes, that came from your service over there, or even in the general body of water. So that is a big deal. So we're going to give that to you. But other things you have to prove. Do you have like my favorite one is, you went in, you had an arch in your foot. After 30 years, you now do the water test, and you are flat as a pancake, so you lost your arch, and you ain't getting it back. So that's service connected. So you were wearing boots and shoes and things like that. So that's all connected to what you did. No time limit, although the longer you wait after you get out of the service, then it becomes a little bit, you have to have more documentation to be able to do that. But once you leave the service, and that's the one thing I want to encourage, you have service members coming home, and they was like, well, I'm 25, I'm fine, I don't need anything. Well, let me tell you, at 55, you're probably going to be thinking something a little different, because the body is a little different there, and those aches and pains is, where did that come from? And I can help you with that. So again, just to kind of reiterate, so you take your in-service event, and then the middle treatment, the current diagnosed disability from the military and or out in civilian, but it can connect it to your service. Then we go 1 and 2, and then the VA says, okay, that's what you have. That's where we can do that. But that's also opening up things like the VA Health. And so you can go to the VA hospital, and you can or be referred out in town for some of the ailments that you have. So again, access to another form of health care. So with that, I will conclude our brief. Just kind of give you a brief overview. But I was everybody's always surprised to know that we are physically have our office in Manassas, right across from the Social Security Administration in the building. So we're right there, so we're very, very close to everyone. And you're probably not the only ones that didn't know where we were. I would say your counterparts over in the Manassas side didn't know that we were in that office and had been there for several years. And so they now know where we're located. But that's part of the offensive, is to let you know we're here. If you've got any questions, if you have veterans, you want us to look at something, or you want to send them our way, that's what we're there for. And what we're trying to do is just let you know we are a resource. State-funded and resourced resource. Please use us. That's all I have. Any questions?
Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you. We'll start with questions down here.
No question. Thank you for presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no questions. Thank you for your work.
Thanks.
Mr. Triplett, I have a question, but first of all, I want to thank you for your service.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Greatly appreciate that. What impacts have the cuts by the Department of Veterans Affairs at the federal level had on service delivery for the Virginia Department of Veterans Services? I'm hearing they're talking about cutting 50,000 members from the Department of Veterans Services.
I will say the only thing that we've noticed is a little bit longer slowdown, so about 45 days backlog in the looking at in claims of submission and adjudication. So that's, and I can't foresee the future, but if you gave this the crystal ball as today, but it's so new that's all I can tell you. And I haven't made, and I use the VA health system. I can't tell you. It was about 4 months to get some appointments, and I'll give you my own personal data point. Once I make I'll be in the queue to make some other appointments with primaries and things like that. So we'll see if that's starting to impact that with that care. So, but again, really just on claims backlogs, it's about 45-ish days.
It's just really great that the Commonwealth is offering these additional services. So that's really great to see and hear.
Well, honestly, the DVS has been around for, we're pushing on 96 years.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
So that's why I wanted to make sure that we're there, and we've grown from one person to the folks that we have now. So we are out there kind of making sure that you use us as a resource. And there are other great veteran service organizations like the VFW, American Legion, all doing some of the same things. The one thing I will tell you that where we come with lawyers and we come with the claim specialists. That's really the difference between us and again, resourced by the state.
And my final question, any Manassas Park veteran residents, their closest place to go would be Manassas, or would be the closest office if they're seeking service?
Manassas.
Okay, fantastic.
So, and then, well, I'm also tell you, you have the option of having a, what do you call it, video appointment.
Oh, that's awesome.
So there is that option that you can, and then the video appointment, you could be talking to someone I have an office in Big Stone Gap, or Accomack. You could be talking to a VSR there, but you have that option. You don't have to wait to get to appointments, because as we are becoming more known and popular, that's one of the things that I'm trying to make sure that the time between you wanting an appointment and the time you getting an appointment isn't so excessive. Right. Because now that becomes the next challenge that we have. And then, are we located in the right spot because right now I have an office in Fairfax, I have an office in Springfield. Interestingly enough, though, the only public office that I have from Springfield to where my region ends at the beginning of the Rappahannock and Southern Stafford County is Springfield. The rest of them are all on military bases, so Fort Belvoir, Quantico, and we're working to see what we can do about that in the future, because that's one of the things. Not everybody has base access, but it doesn't mean that you can't have the video appointment with the VSR. So that's one of the challenges that we have, and also where we can best utilize all of our resources, maybe more than there's having 2 service lines in an office is good. Having 3 is better. So we're looking at the justice side of the house that can kind of be with us there, and as long as we're appropriately located and good for the community, and you can come find us. So in Prince William County, I think that where we are in Prince William County is probably the best. But we do claims at our itinerant sites. I kind of mentioned that in Warrenton and Culpeper, and some of the churches and some of the outreaches that we do. So we just did a outreach this past weekend with the Vietnam Veterans 5K out in Warrenton. So we took information down and everything there, so we could at least start the process, so you know who we are and where you can go.
Fantastic. Thank you very much again
Yes, sir.
for your service. Appreciate it.
Do you assist homeless veterans as well?
Yes.
So we assist with a lot of different parts of that, because the VA has their own homeless caseworkers, and then, of course, the county with the housing vouchers. So we help them navigate that whole process. We also have access to the Veteran Services Foundation, which is it's somewhat referred to as the 8th branch of Department of Veteran Services, but basically it's a nonprofit where we're able to use their funding. So we've been able to do things like, if there's a family, veterans and young children, and it's really cold out and the shelters are all full, then we can utilize those funds to, say, put them up in a hotel, so that gives them time to connect with some of those housing services. So there's many things that we can do, including some direct access to funds that we have.
That's great to know. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. I have a question. Thank you for your service for both of you, and 35 years or 30 years is a lot of time. The question I have is,
I was only 10 when I joined.
Oh, you do look young. So the question I have is about the Polar Center in Bent Hill, and I
Yes.
know why has that taken so long to open up? Because it's been abandoned for a period of time. And I met with the chair of the Fauquier Board of Supervisors a few years ago, Chairman Trumbo, who's not the chair now, and he didn't even know why it was stalled and coming online.
Yeah, well, the director's kind of been doing a roadshow, and we actually have a waiting list for that one, so it's moving in the right direction. So I can't tell you why it was stalled in the past, but I can tell you it's
Because
moving.
it's been completed almost like a couple of years
Yeah.
now. and it's
Yes,
just-
yep, and they have their first tranche of residents with the waiting list, so you're right, it's soon, and then for support and things like that, we were probably the closest office for them to support, so they did come and talk to us about that one, so very excited about it, but I can't speak to what was in the past. I can just tell you it's moving in the right direction.
Will you be relocating there?
No, So we will separate. That'll be for the Veteran Cares. Our office will remain for the foreseeable, because we signed the lease. And that's what we do with these leasing agreements throughout the area in our specific offices, with the exception if we get it for free, like on the military bases. So the Pentagon and Belvoir and Quantico, obviously the price is right there. But if you move out in town into a building, or then you have to pay. Then we negotiate that lease, and we have several lease spaces, and Manassas being one of them. Now, Fredericksburg is interesting because the health clinic. Yeah, I have to be careful not to call it a hospital. I've made that mistake a couple of times, but it's a health clinic is opened up, and we have VSRs in that health clinic. So that's an example of the relationship between another organization, the VA, and us here in Virginia, that we get some space in there to also to help with claims and everything.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Just want to say thank you for all the work you do and making these benefits accessible and presenting tonight so that we know what's available. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming out and making your presentation, and thank you both for your service.
No, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, next up is the consent agenda. Tonight, the consent agenda is the approval of the minutes from March 4th and March 18th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Next is the appointment of Emergency Management Coordinator.
Thank you, Mayor. I did not do a presentation for this. It's pretty routine. I think I explained it pretty well in the memo and the agenda packet. The state statute establishes the city manager, me as the emergency manager, or as the emergency operations director, and then I need to designate somebody as the coordinator. The fire department is almost in every city I've seen is the most active user of NIMS and ICS. They use it in their daily function because they also interact with surrounding fire departments more than any other governmental agencies overlap. And so it makes sense that they manage this for the city. And so with your consent, I'd like Chief Soper to be the coordinator.
Any questions? No? Nope. All right, the motion is that the governing body consent to City Manager Carl Cole's appointment of Fire Chief James Soper as the city's Emergency Management Coordinator pursuant to Division 1 of subsection 44-146.19B of the Code of Virginia.
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
Congratulations.
Did we have one before?
It was Keith
Keith.
Oh, Keith.
for a while.
We have arrived at our second public comment time. Is there anyone who would like to make public comment?
Did you want to say something?
Well, that's city manager time. We're not there yet. All right, city manager report.
Well, I think you guys probably heard enough from me on Saturday, so thanks again for the information. It was a great meeting. We got a lot of information that's informing our work moving forward, but in the meantime, I'm going to pass this over to Keith, who wants to introduce our ICMA fellow.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. City Manager. Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the governing body, just to provide some context for Mr. Smith and our audience and the folks at home. So the military has bases worldwide, and they employ dedicated civilian professionals to manage the bases, just like city managers would do for city. And ICMA, which stands for the International City County Management Association, which is a professional trade association for folks like myself and Mr. Cole, thought it would be a good idea to blend the two worlds together, those that manage military bases and those that manage cities and counties, to share lesson learned, to make connection, and kind of bridge that military divide. So they have a host of programs each year, and this year we were selected to host an Army Fellow. And so with that being said, I will turn over to Mr. Calvin Williams to introduce himself.
So I guess I'm the, can you guys hear me?
I don't think it's on.
I guess I'm the make.
It's still
I can speak louder.
for TV. We need
Yeah, we need it for the
You
recording.
want to try the podium?
Yeah, if you want to go to the podium, that for sure will work for you.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
So this is an amazing opportunity. Actually, this program is directly under me. So I am the installations career field director. Now, my predecessor just took the DRP. So similar to what you were talking about, sir, he took it and retired on the 11th. So I took over on the 11th. This program is amazing. It bridges the gap between local governments and the federal government as far as our executives. So it's only for executives in the GS 14 or 15 levels. It gets a lot of oversight from the SESs. There's a lot of synergy with them for us to go through this program. This was day one for me, and I've learned a lot. There's a lot of similarities. I absolutely love this team. Just met them this morning. They, welcomed me with open arms, treated me like, one of their executives. I really appreciate it. I've already learned about your budgets and, some other things that go on in local government. There's a lot of similarities, a lot of differences, but I think this program is great to bridge the gap so that we understand what you guys do at the local level and you guys understand what we do at the federal level. And when we have these national disasters or emergencies, we can react with each other. I really appreciate the opportunity. Carl, Keith, I've been talking to Keith for about 3-4 weeks now. So, this is a relationship that me and him will, probably keep for a very, very long time. He's actually made me interested in local government. So this may be, the federal government may be losing me one way or another in the future. But I really appreciate this time to speak. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We hope you enjoy the rest of your time here. All right, is there anything else? All right. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See you tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
All right.
Sir.